welcome to another episode of Video Clerks Rental Review. I'm Christopher.
And I'm Cassidy. It's our low rent episode today.
Low rent episode, dude.
Can't make it out to the studio on Monday, so we're gonna do this earlier.
Alright, we'll start out the show with Transformers 3, directed by Michael Bay.
The Michael Bay.
And
the one and only.
Stars Shia LaBeouf, Rosie Huntington instead of the Megan Fox, Patrick Dempsey, and Dempsey, not Dempsey.
I thought you were passing judgment.
No, I am.
Dempsey.
That's Dempsey. And, you know, just about everybody from the other ones. Same mom, dad, random CIA agents.
And a few more people.
The chick from Fargo's in it.
Frances McDormand.
There we go. She's in it. She's an anal retentive CIA operative or something. But anyway, Transformers 3 takes place after the other two. The Decepticons have been defeated thus in the second one. Yet somehow on the moon there's some ancient lost spaceship, the Ark of the Covenant of the Transformers.
They do call it the Ark.
They call it the Ark. It's got the saving grace of the Transformers race on it, and just happens to be magically discovered on the moon.
It kind of starts out with a prologue where you find out that the moon launch with Buzz Aldrin and all that stuff, where they discover the Ark back in the 60s, so that there's been like this conspiracy about Transformers ever since then.
So the Transformers have been known about since before the first movie even existed. So that goes down, and they revive the guy on the ship, and and we have special guest star Sushi today. So then things explode, people go on giant robot destruction derbies, and that's about it. The world gets saved. Crap like that. Oh, is that a spoiler? World gets saved. This movie was about 2.5 hours of crap. I mean, it literally was nothing but exposition. It's like leading upon leading upon leading upon leading to nothing other than just one big super fight at the end.
That is one super fight.
Yes, it is.
It takes like almost an hour of just solid fighting.
Solid robot fighting.
Robot on robot action.
It still has. That's my favorite part of the movie, though, is the actual fight of they're in Chicago and it's been taken over. There's these spaceships everywhere, and it's really epic.
That's
really
what you paid to go see.
Yeah, that's what I paid. I went to the cheap theater, so I didn't pay very much for it. But we went to it. I was so bored. I mean, you got this new, trying to make a love interest just happen out of thin air because Megan Fox isn't it anymore. You've got trying to bring back all the old characters just because. So there's just like random appearances from the parents and
even characters, like the parents, so you don't care about them in the first place.
Yeah, they have no reason to be there. Bringing new characters in just to create some bizarre conflicts. And, but I mean, he's job hunting through a good quarter of this movie. No point at all. Oh my god! They brought that Chinese guy from Hangover in it.
Ken Jeong.
John Malkovich is randomly and just. No point.
Why are they there?
This movie could have been an hour and a half shorter and still had the exact same plot. Awful. I gave it a C-. You
gave it a C-.
C- is what I gave it.
For Michael Bay's
crap fest.
Yeah, Transformers 3: Dark Side of the Moon.
Yeah.
It's the full title. And if you think the title's too long, it's only an indicator of how Michael Bay directs everything in his life. Bloated too much. I more or less have the exact same complaints as you. I think they're overplotted. There's like 17 different plot strands. There's this whole thing with Patrick Dempsey that they introduce it early on in the movie and you don't really care then, and then when it reveals what's really going on, you really don't care. There's this whole like conspiracy with the Russians. At one point they have to go to Chernobyl for some reason. there's like 40-minute chunks of this movie where you don't even see a single Transformer.
Yeah.
The first 40 minutes where Sam Witwicky is trying to find a job. No Transformers in sight. There's that whole scene takes place in Chernobyl. There's an actually kind of cool scene where they're in a bar, and Alan Tudyk from Firefly, who plays this sort of flamboyant bodyguard for, was it Patrick Dempsey's character that he was working for?
I think so.
I don't remember. He kind of goes apeshit and like almost like kills these guys in the bar, and I was thinking, this is a cool scene, and then I was thinking, but this has nothing to do with the movie.
Yeah.
Why is this scene in this movie?
Yeah.
And there's about 17 scenes like that. And then, finally, the last 40 minutes, or what, an hour and 10 minutes maybe, there is finally nothing but Transformers and metal clanging on metal. And he even manages to oversaturate that to the point where you're like, I'm kind of over this.
Yep.
Like, this fight should have been over about a half an hour ago. And it's just like this really long extended set piece that just keeps going and going and going. It's almost like he's trying to bore his audience with action. It's like an exercise in how much can I do and still bore you. And that's generally how I describe most Michael Bay movies, with the exception of The Rock, which is the only Michael Bay movie I've always liked.
That's a good one.
Back when Jerry Bruckheimer could still kind of keep him in check. So I give this movie a D+. I think there's a 90-minute cut of this movie that somewhere in all of that maybe works.
Yeah.
But what we saw, it's not as bad as Transformers 2.
Yeah, no, that was
Revenge of the Fallen, or what was it?
Yeah, Revenge of the Fallen.
Revenge of the Fallen. Yeah, that was like, cinematic equivalent of AIDS. Whereas Transformers 3 is like the cinematic equivalent of herpes. It's better, but nonetheless really obnoxious. And the John Turturro character is one, along with many of these useless characters that he decides to add in. John Malkovich is in this movie for some reason. I don't know.
No reason.
And they add nothing. They serve nothing to the plot other than to complicate it and add his terrible sense of humor that Michael Bay is so in love with.
Yeah. Yeah.
So can't exactly recommend.
No recommendations.
Alright, we'll move now to Bridesmaids, and this is directed by Paul Feig, who is another one of those Apatow protege directors who, got to start directing episodes of Freaks and Geeks and Undeclared, and has since come into his own as a director, I suppose, with Bridesmaids, and this has been hailed as the female Hangover.
Yeah.
And there's a big ensemble cast of women here. And basically what the movie's about is Kristen Wiig plays this neurotic single 30-something named Annie, who is an ex-baker who just got out of a kind of a messy divorce, and she's trying to kind of find her footing in life again. And she's in a kind of a terrible relationship with a guy who's using her, played by John Hamm from Mad Men. And she finds out that her best friend, played by Maya Rudolph, is going to be having a wedding here soon, and she's been made the maid of honor. But Maya Rudolph has this other friend that's sort of in a different pocket of her life that she wants the Kristen Wiig character to kind of get along with and start to get to know before the wedding shows up. And of course these other women, who are going to be the other bridesmaids, sort of make their appearance in the movie as well, including Wendi McLendon-Covey, who was in Reno 911, and Ellie Kemper, who plays in the latter seasons of The Office. Yeah. And it kind of becomes this girl ensemble movie about the days preceding this wedding and sort of the crazy events and sort of the cat fights that ensue between specifically Kristen Wiig and Rose Byrn, who plays this new friend that's entering the situation. They're kind of competing over who's the better friend of Maya Rudolph. And I went into this movie with kind of mixed expectations, because when I first saw the trailer, I wasn't all that intrigued. I was afraid it was going to be too raunchy. It was going to be, the girls trying to prove that they can do a raunch-com too, and that it was just going to be like an hour and a half of period jokes. Yeah. And I was not excited about that. But then the movie actually came out and just received a ton of amazing reviews, and this is the funniest movie of the summer, and da-da-da-da-da, it's the female hangover, and all of this stuff, and then finally, I guess I gotta see this thing. I did wait till it came out on video, so I've seen this fairly recently, and I have to say, it is neither as bad as I thought it would be, or as good as people are saying it is.
Yeah.
I think it is a likable and cute movie, and there are some things about it I appreciate. I know that females, especially, I think are responding to this movie very positively, because finally there's a female comedy that isn't exactly a chick flick. You know, the romance aspect of it, though there is a romance I feel is kind of forced. The romance aspect of it is not the driving force of the movie. It's not about this girl who needs to finally realize love. It is mostly about friendship, and it's about how females interact with other females. And I think, you know, Kristen co-wrote the script, so there's a certain genuine quality to it. This is how women really are, this is how they really talk to each other. And then there's this whole other movie that's in the movie, which is, wouldn't it be funny if scenarios, where they do kind of go for more of the raunchy and more of the, I guess, the appetizer sort of gross out stuff, and where they're trying to earn their wings a little bit. And I feel like that movie isn't all that necessary. I mean, I understand that they're gags, they're placed in there specifically to get hard laughs. And I think maybe in a theater situation, I saw this alone on the couch, so it changes the atmosphere, obviously. In a theater situation, maybe that did bring out a lot more belly laughs. But for me, I was like, okay, I get that this is supposed to be funny, but it's actually just kind of making the movie really long. And I feel like the movie sort of drags a little bit. And it's likable, and it's fun, and I genuinely liked it, but I just didn't see what all the fuss was about. So I give it a B-.
B-? I liked it slightly better than you. I gotta give it a B. Went into it thinking the same things, going, oh god, this is gonna be one of those horrible chick flicks with just a lot of period jokes.
Yeah.
I was pleasantly surprised. I went to it in theaters, so I got the full aspect of it. Probably why I give it a B, because I definitely laughed a bunch in it. Really enjoyed a lot of the... there's a lot of funny moments that I just really liked. But then there's just so much embarrassing humor, and I hate embarrassing.
There is a lot of it. Specifically, probably the scene with the speech.
Yeah, there's the speech, there's the airplane, there's several others. It's just... And I just cringe through
That's
those.
That other movie.
Yeah, I just don't laugh at that.
Yeah.
I cringe, and I go, no. No, don't embarrass yourself. You can get out of the situation, just don't be an idiot. And then go be an idiot. But really loved, like, I actually liked a lot of the bridesmaids, a lot of little mini characters, like the chunky girl, who's just like this army go-hung, super crazy chick.
Yeah, Melissa McCarthy, who I believe she was in Gilmore Girls.
Yeah, she's like this sweet little innocent girl in like Gilmore Girls, and all she's just like raunchy, just I'm gonna sit on your face kind of chick. And they're like, okay.
Yeah, I enjoyed her too.
Yeah, I liked her. There's it's Rebel Wilson, who's kind of randomly appearing now. She's like the other bigger girl in it, who's blonde, and just plays the most mentally retarded person ever.
Is she the British roommate?
Yeah, the British roommate.
I actually didn't care for the British roommates.
Really?
I felt not only did their characters add nothing, but I felt like they were, for me, really obnoxious.
Yeah.
I didn't get what they were about.
I didn't care. They were just so weird that I was like, these are my favorite characters. They're just too bizarre to... I was like, how could you live with these people in real life? And I enjoyed it. But yeah, her little cupcake dreams was... that was, I think, the worst part of the movie, is there was these weird... there was the embarrassing scene where there's this weird little, oh, I can't make cupcakes anymore for some tragic accident. And it reminds me of, like, you know, like a Speed Racer thought, you know, like plot line or some crap. I can't race anymore because my monkey died, you know? It's just like, I can't make a cup, and that was just like, oh, man, really? That was just like, I gotta create some kind of conflict in this character.
Yeah.
Spin
she
a
used
wheel.
to make.
Yeah,
Exactly.
Yeah.
There's some places where I think the movie's really, really working as far as writing the characters, and there's some places where I feel it's kind of awkward. And that's her backstory, I think, is sort of awkward.
Yeah, a lot of hits, a lot of misses, very little in between. So it's either sucky or good. So give it a B.
You give it a B.
All right. Moving on to our next one. This one is Hesher, directed by Spencer Susser.
That's what I got.
This is his new stuff. He's got a bunch of smaller projects, but
I think he had a lot of shorts before that. I think it's his first feature.
But this is his big features film. Stars Jaylet, as we all know and love. Natalie Portman, Rainn Wilson, newcomer Devin Brochu.
Was he the kid?
Yeah. He's the kid, Devin Brochu. I hear it's loosely based off a Metallica bassist or something. Some kind of... It's supposed
Cliff Burton?
Yeah,
the original bassist.
It's supposed to have some kind of relation to him, loosely based about his childhood. But it's a little boy, a big tragic moment where his mother is taken from him, who's Rainn Wilson's wife, and he's trying to cope with this grief, and just oddly, randomly befriends a guy named Hesher, played by Joseph Gordon-Levitt, who is just this deadhead, metalhead psychopath.
Yeah.
Who just integrates himself into their life without asking, and causes as much chaos as possible. He gets bullied at school, so he's bullied at school. Natalie Portman does a little heroic moment, which thus makes her a love interest for the little kid.
Yeah.
Which makes a good dynamic. Rainn Wilson's a deadbeat living at mom's home, and there's a sweet little old lady.
Yeah. Piper Laurie, who we haven't seen... I haven't seen her in anything since Twin Peaks. And, you know, I mean, nothing really since before then since Carey. So,
way out there. But
I don't know where they...
This movie was great. I liked a lot of it. There was just enough absurd chaos in it that made me happy. Acting was great. Even Rainn Wilson did really well in it. Weakest character was Natalie Portman, but she was kind of a minor character anyway. I mean, she's got kind of that major love interest role, but still pretty minor. So I thought she was probably the weakest of them. Joseph Gordon-Levitt was just fantastic as this guy.
Probably one of my favorite performances of his.
Oh yeah, he was just he's just
it
insane.
Couldn't be more different than his Refn.
Yeah. Definitely a new thing for him.
Yeah.
Definitely can pull off the angry, aggressive, not the clean cut stuff that we're used to of him. Other than Cobra Commander, which wasn't...
We all want to forget that.
Wow, that poor Jaylet. I don't know how he signed on to that. I thought, of all the... We've been watching a lot of movies lately about, like, true life stuff, like the Will Ferrell thing and stuff.
Yeah.
Boy, I forgot that.
Everything must go.
I thought this was definitely a much better capture of some kind of true life moment that... A lot of movies, everyone, read reviews and like, oh, it's just Hollywood trying to pretend they know what the real person is feeling like, and you're like, really? That's your complaint? But I think they did really well. I mean, I could see this kind of, you're grieving and you just got no control over your life, so you just accept the fact that this crazy dude is gonna sit in your house and do his laundry for no reason other than you could care less anymore.
Yeah.
But yeah, I really enjoyed it. A lot of good stuff about it.
I enjoyed parts of it. I give it a B-. I think, like I already said, Joseph Gordon-Levitt does a really, really good job as the lead title character. I think he's really funny and sort of realistic. He brings a certain kind of authenticity to it, and he's having fun in the role, and that's always fun to watch. I actually like Natalie Portman's character. I mean, it is basically like, let's get Natalie Portman because we can, and anybody could have pretty much played that part, but I felt like she actually brought something to it, and kind of an empty part, really. My complaints with the movie is I don't think it's as profound as it wants to be. I think the tone of the movie is a little confused, because it starts out with the almost sort of like a ridiculous sort of premise where it's essentially the Cat in the Hat.
Yeah.
If you think about it, it's the Cat in the Hat if the Cat in the Hat was a metalhead. Like he comes in sort of uninvited and like gets his kid into a bunch of trouble for no reason. And it kind of has this dark comedy sort of thing going on, and then it really tries to, like, the second half of the movie really tries to push for these strong emotions and these heartfelt things and these, this like, really trying to make the audience empathetic and almost even develop the Hesher character kind of more than I think I wanted him to be developed. I sort of liked him being more of an archetype than being a fully rounded character. Yeah. He develops this relationship with Piper Laurie, the grandma, and it's the only character within this family situation he really seems to actually connect with, and that was sort of interesting. And then that sort of turns into a cliche thing, and I won't spoil anything. And it ends on sort of a weird note, I think. But I think as far as these kind of like little indie things that kind of come and go, I think this is definitely worth the rental, for the very least to see Joseph Gordon-Levitt's kind of astounding performance. It'll be definitely, as far as like when you're looking back at his career and you see all the different characters he's played, it's one of his more distinct, interesting characters.
Definitely.
But I don't feel like the movie really was as metal as it wanted to be.
Yeah, it's way overhyped.
As being like this hardcore, like this is an indie movie for the Metallica crowd. It's not.
Yeah.
It gets pretty mushy.
Yeah, it's a little kid. It's a story about a little kid.
It's Cat in the Hat.
It is. I love that. That's a great story.
And finally, we'll move on now to our last review, which is Drive, directed by Nicolas Winding Refn. This movie is about this unknown, nameless driver, played by Ryan Gosling, and he works in the film industry as a stunt driver, but he moonlights as an escape driver for criminals and robbers and things like that. And he has these very specific rules about how and when it should be done, and he gives people a 5-minute window and all of this stuff. So he's very, very in tune with exactly how he thinks it should go down. And he sort of falls in love with, or falls interested in, a next-door neighbor played by Carey Mulligan, who's sort of a, I don't know, what's the word, kind of a troubled woman. Her husband's in jail, she's trying to take care of her kid by herself, and he sort of takes it upon himself to kind of help this family situation and make sure that they're okay while the husband's in jail. Husband gets out of jail, and sort of changes the dynamic, because now she sort of started a flirtatious thing with him, but he still feels protective. He doesn't completely trust this husband figure to take care of things. He's obviously still getting himself into trouble, and the husband wants Ryan Gosling's character to help him with a job to get him out of some debt with some bad folks, if you will, some mafioso types played by Ron Perlman and Albert Brooks.
Woo, Ron Perlman.
And
plays a Jew. That's really weird.
Yeah. From that point, the movie kind of gets progressively more and more tense. The tension kind of builds and builds and builds, and then there's these incredibly violent explosions dispersed throughout the last half of the movie. And I'll just say it right now, so far this is my favorite movie of the year. Every once in a while, and this doesn't happen very often, but every once in a while I'll go to a movie and I'm sitting there and it feels like the director has made a movie specifically for me. This is a hard-boiled film noir, and it's the type of stuff that I just eat up with a ladle. And I loved the methodical pacing of the movie. I know some people have said it's slow, and I don't think it's for everybody, and that's fine. But I love that it makes you think it's one type of movie, and then it pulls the rug out from under you. And it's all very purposeful, very filmic, directorial kind of movie. I mean, this movie is directed with a capital D. Wonderful cinematography, beautiful cityscapes, glorious, glorious violence that, I mean, actually had my audience in gasp at times. There was a walkout at one point.
Wow.
During one of the violent acts by an older lady. I don't think she knew what she was getting into. I think Nicolas Winding Refn is a great director. I loved his movie Bronson. Of course, he's also done the Pusher trilogy, and last year he did Valhalla Rising. I kind of consider him he's sort of the European Tarantino. He has a similar sort of pulp nouveau sort of, he kind of takes what he likes from other directors and sort of brings it in, and it does these sort of pulpy genres like film noir and violent crime kind of things, and spins it in this new direction. And yeah, I can't say enough positive things about this movie. I think it's one of the highlights of the year so far.
Nice. I did enjoy it too. Not to the best movie of the year so far. I gave it a, well, you gave it an A+, I see.
Yes.
I give it, I have a B- written, but I probably liked it better than that. I think I'm just hating on it. I don't know why. So I probably have to give it a B. But I think that, yeah, I mean, I can see how people say it's slow. I didn't think it was slow, but there are long open pauses of no dialogue, no music. It is complete silence, and you sit there and stare at the rest of the audience reacting. I think that was the best part of it. The audience has no idea to react to this complete dead silence.
Yeah,
I mean, that's what he is. He is a methodical driver guy, and that's what he does. He drives, and director proves it by just going, "Here's a 5-minute scene of him driving. No music, no dialogue, just driving."
There's a wonderful soundtrack.
Oh my god, no, yeah. The soundtrack, when it's there, is...
It's like this real 80s synthy kind of stuff.
Yeah, I've got 4 on order right now because we carried 1 copy. It sold day 1, and now I've got 4 people waiting for it on back order. So it's great soundtrack. Acting was brilliant. I am all about the Gosling right now.
Yeah.
As I hear his nickname is Baby Goose.
Baby Goose?
So, yeah, we got Gillette and Baby Goose. I was really excited about when I heard. My wife's the one that busted that out. I was like, oh, I was like, where did that come from?
Probably People magazine.
But, yeah, no, just the way he befriends this woman and just, it's like, I'm going to take care of you. And then also just gets blown out of, just explodes, and the mafia gets all involved. And,
well, it's that noir tradition where, you want to help out the poor little old lady, or the poor defenseless lady, and of course it just takes you into a world that you can't get out.
The violence, like you said, is just fantastic. It's my kind of violence, just over the top, completely bloody,
and really out of nowhere. I think it's real purposeful violence. It's not. I think he's Refn is a lot smarter than your average
it's not
sort
just
of like
constant violence. It's not like Transformers where robots are fighting each other and blood goes everywhere.
Well, it's not even like that. That new sort of grindhouse revisited style that's kind of coming, where the violence is just there for laughs. Like when it happens, you're literally like, "Oh my god!"
Yeah, it is poop your pants moment.
It's effective violence.
Yeah, excellent. The car chases were cool. I mean, I was expecting more car chases. Yeah. But based on the title, but it was still the ones that were there were great. There was some really creepy scene with a mask, and it just got really weird.
Oh, one of the best sequences in a movie I've seen in a long time is where Refn is also really, really good at being able how to combine score and soundtrack and sound design with what's going on in the actual visuals. And there's this great scene where he's coming up to this diner, and you see everything from his perspective, and the scene is just building and building and building and building, and he knows exactly when to break that tension.
It is excellent movie. I loved it. Not quite the greatest movie because, like I said, there's those long drawn out silences that you just feel awkward in. Yeah, I don't like feeling awkward in a movie theater.
I think that's. I mean, I understood the tone he was going for with those scenes, and like Tarantino, he pulls from his influences broadly, and he has no problem saying, I like Michael Mann, and I want to make a Michael Mann feeling movie, and I like Antonioni, and I want to have like those long, slow, methodical, sort of inward-looking sort of vistas, like an Antonioni movie would do. And I like Sergio Leone, and I'm going to have kind of a man with no name sort of character kind of putting himself in the middle of this like crime faction. So he plays with conventions of cinema, but he does it all in a very specific and interesting way that I think is better than most of his kind of contemporaries. And I would suspect that upon repeat viewing, the so-called slow moments are not going to seem that way, because now you know where it's all going, and now you know all of those twists and turns, and why is he exactly doing this scene like that? Oh, it's because of this. And so, I mean, this is, like I said, very few times do I see a movie where it's like, here, Cassidy, I made this for you.
Nice. That's like how I feel with Cranks.
Yeah.
Alright, so that's our show.
That's it.
You have guys yourself a good one, and don't forget to rate, comment, subscribe, all those good things
all
that
that
YouTubers
stuff.
do. And shout out to Channel 12.
Yeah, you may or may not see this on TV.
Oh.
This might be an online-only episode.
Oh, exclusive.
Exclusive.
Nice. On the special features disc.
Yeah. See you later.